I don't normally get into just hype-related stories.
In this world, obsessed with kindness and ethical blindness. So please excuse my sarcastic tone. I'm a bit underwhelmed by the sample shown. Mr. Bistro fraternity guy, you got my ass with bloodshot eyes. Get drunk and fight every night. Idolize Bradley, belittle women's rights. Homophobic, racist, and don't give a fucking hey. Do you think you can drive a bigger truck? So wear your baseball cap to decide to let everyone know that you're a nice guy. So cool, we're so impressed. Lots of chicks in a barrel chest. Cause you're a real man. Punch for punch, gonna piss in your face while you're passed out drunk. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. He's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. She's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planets. I just can't understand it. But could divine by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, jerk off. I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, jerk off. Read into the lyrics, cause everybody gets their just desserts. As long as you remember that nice guys finish first. You're next on the list. Such a nice guy who speaks through his fists. Prick with a penchant for messing with heads. A broken nose for dinner and breakfast in bed. Alcoholic, paranoid, and suicidal too. But you'll probably kill her before she gets away from you. Screws in a blue blood and crying. All your friends say that you're a nice guy. Have a drink, this one's on me. Look, you're doing fine, losing to your disease. Comatose, I'll pack your bags. Bury you like cats ready to gag. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. We're all nice guys, but all of you are assholes. He's a nice guy, she's a nice guy. Hey, Tom Bone's a nice guy. All of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planet. The public demented. Put a body by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, jerk off. I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, jerk off. Read into the lyrics. So let the bucket will quench your thirst. As long as you remember that nice guys finish first.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Plex. We do this show live usually at 7 p.m. Pacific on Sundays here on twitch.tv/EchoPlexMedia, but I had to start an hour late today. These things happen. You can support this project by going to echoplexmedia.com. Click the support link at the top of the website, and you can make your own decisions from there. Folks watching on Twitch, you know how the monetization here works, and you can also make your own decisions. I'm producer Dave. Find me on Blue Sky at Plex-Dave, and I am here to remind you of one important thing.
Everything's fine, and everything's fine, and it's great. Thanks. Everything's fine, and everything's fine, and it's great. Thanks. Everything's fine, and everything's fine, and it's great. Thanks. Everything's fine, and everything's fine. I hope you have a real nice day. The weather, the the time and the news. How's your commute? What do you do? Sorry I'm late, I kept hitting snooze. It's just one of those days. You know what they say. It is what it is. Ignorance is bliss. When it rains, it pours. Couldn't ask for more. What goes around comes around, all in good time. I guess that your guess is as good as mine. Everything's fine and everything's fine and it's great. Thanks. Everything's fine and everything's fine and it's great. Thanks. Everything's fine and everything's fine and it's great. Thanks. Everything's fine and everything's fine. I hope you have a real nice day. Everything's fine and everything's fine and it's great. Thanks. Everything's fine and everything's fine and it's great. Thanks. Everything's fine and everything's fine and it's great. Thanks. Everything's fine and everything's fine. I hope you have a real nice day.
So today, obviously, we have to cover the assassination of Charlie Kirk. This is a story of what happens when people jump to conclusions and are unwilling to wait for facts to come in before they start running their fucking mouths about what's going on, as is often the case in American politics more broadly. But before we get started on like the media reaction, I want to show you what I saw, which I think is the worst of all possible reactions to this happening. This is somebody who was on the scene, and it appears that they had decided immediately in the aftermath of the shooting to use it to engagement farm on TikTok. This is actually pretty fucking gross.
It's your boy out on TikTok. There was just a gunshot at Charlie Kirk. We're in Utah. There's a gunfire. This is not a joke. Hey, let's go. Hey, let's go. Hey, let's go. It's your boy out on TikTok. There was just a gunfire in Utah. This is not a drill. There is a gunfire in Utah. Shots fired here in Utah. This is not a joke. Charlie Kirk, outer TikTok, Mormon Central, Utah. There was a gun that just fired off here at Charlie Kirk. I am not playing with y'all. Hey, make sure you...
So I'm not going to show any more of this because it's fucking disgusting. But this is like, no matter what you think about, any of this, really, trying to use it to engagement farm, like right after on TikTok, while people are running because people are afraid. That is very bad behavior, and no one should do that at all. If something like that fucking happens, get on the ground, and then to the extent that you can, help other people and get the fuck out of there. Don't fucking use it to engagement farm. It's fucking gross. Up next here is a report from MSNBC about like right afterward about the manhunt that was underway.
They don't have a suspect in custody right now?
No, not surprised. If you don't catch them in the immediacy of the event, all the panic after makes it really hard to catch them on the outer perimeters of after the event. When a shooting happens, people like flock to obviously the victim. Some law enforcement starts looking out, but it's really tough at this point if you don't identify them right then and be able to chase them down, that they get outside of that initial crime scene and where they're sealing off, and he gets past that. I think part of it is this was a targeted assassination. I think part of why they're not releasing the information is, one, they want to have control of it. If they don't have any idea who he is, like in the healthcare shooting, they may have released it at that point. But if they think they can identify that person, if you release it to the public, things kind of get out of your hands, so to speak. So if they can identify him, and then they can figure out more where he's at.
Also, real quick, don't run. I see people in this running. If something like this happens, do not run. You can walk briskly, but don't run. People get trampled and shit.
I don't think that they think that there's any more, not a higher chance of violence, because, again, it seemed that he was going after one target. He took one shot and stopped and did not shoot anyone else involved. I think that is also leading them to say, okay, we don't think that there's a mass threat to the public on this point.
Do you think that they would have ruled out anybody else being involved in some way?
I don't think ruled it out. Like, I would want it. It's one of those, everyone's talking about that. He was talking about gun violence when he was shot. I would want to talk to the person who asked that question and make sure there's no connection to, in fact, the shooter. Not
that shit's a coincidence.
You have to run every lead down, but people are talking about the actual of him talking about mass shootings and then getting shot. Was that something that was set up? I think you can clear that fairly easily, but they were going to look at all this different footage to make sure that someone didn't drive him there and drop him off, that he wasn't being assisted. So all that's still going into the investigation. They have to run every lead down because you don't want to say he acted alone and then figure out later that he didn't.
And Rob, investigators say this gunman was about 200 yards from Kirk. Again, they've tracked his movements on campus. They know where he fired the shots from. It was a rooftop, they believe. Apparently only one shot was needed. What does it tell you
needed
about
is bad wording
and the perhaps planning that went into this?
So obviously it was planned in the fact that he knew what building to go to, how to get access to the roof. I would say we're calling it a sniper shot, and that's more the technique. I don't personally think he was a school-trained sniper. That's law enforcement, military. He may have a military background, but I looked at it as someone who's good at shooting. Could be a hunter, could be someone that goes out.
Yeah, I thought that was a long shot, but then like people I know who go shooting, I talked to them a little bit, and they were like, hey, anybody who goes hunting a few times a year would be able to hit a target at less than 600 feet. So that my initial impression of that was wrong. So the person who was asking the question when that happened, actually, they kind of had to go, had to hide, right? Which I would have done too. Fuck that, because there's going to be a lot of people that would assume that they're in on it, and their safety would be in danger, I suppose. This is all not great, and the manhunt seems to have been botched by the FBI. I'm not confident that had the father not turned this person in, that they would have been caught right away. Like if the father would have aided and abetted or whatever, maybe this person would still be on the run. But I don't know. Just out of the ordinary, for example, for the FBI director to fly out when something like this happens, all it does is adds to the chaos, confusion, and it's just not the way to handle this. Also, I'm not sure that this is a federal crime anyway. I believe that this is a state crime and that state law enforcement would be handling this, but I'm not sure. I'm not an attorney, certainly not a defense attorney. But here's some more from MSNBC. Unfortunately, I hate using MSNBC as a source, but it seems like maybe the FBI bungled this and to some extent even got in the way of other law enforcement who probably wouldn't have bungled this because they're not run by a bunch of podcasters.
Earlier today, Commissioner Bo Mason of the Utah Department of Public Safety said that by now, the suspected shooter could be anywhere.
I know you can't say too much here, but is it your understanding that this individual may be close by or still in Utah?
We have no idea. We're exploring leads for individuals out of state and individuals that live close by. We literally have persons of interest, tips coming in on the tip line that are spanning far and wide.
That is the latest.
And that's it. Like they didn't know, but it's okay to say you don't know, I suppose. I'm not sure. But the other thing they did is they had a couple people of interest and they questioned them, and everybody online was like, oh, they got him. And then they're like, oh, they're bungling this because the person they questioned turned out not to be the shooter. Questioning people is not bungling an investigation. Questioning people is an investigation. If you question somebody you think might have been possibly had something to do with it, and they demonstrate to you, or they don't even have to demonstrate it to you, right? Upon further investigation, you find out that they clearly couldn't have had anything to do with it. Well, then you fucking let them go. That's how the investigation process works. That's not out of the ordinary. There's nothing about that that's weird. The FBI going out and saying we got him as soon as you have somebody in the interview room. Now that's weird and fucking stupid and irresponsible. That's what's stupid. That's the FBI fucked this up so badly because it's run by podcasters. Here's the president immediately claiming, without any evidence, that this was a result of radical leftists.
For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as those who go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country. From the attack on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, which killed a husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York, to the shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and 3 others, radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives.
Notice he left out those Democratic lawmakers who were assassinated just a fucking month ago, or however long it was. I forget their names. I'm sorry about that. But he left out those people because he wants to pin this all on the radical left. This is all so stupid. Here's more stupidity in the immediate aftermath. This is from Trump. This is actually the same clip. This is just a longer version. We're not going to run this, but he's saying basically that it's the same clip, but that he's going to find the people who were responsible for this. But by the people responsible, he means the people, I think he means like Dystopia Beat, disinformation and extremism reporters, people who were reporting on the activities of Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk, that is not a call to violence. Reporting on the activities of public figures is not a call to violence. Anyway, Bumblejack wants to go after people who reported on the behavior of Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA, which is awful. It is your right to report on the behavior and actions of anyone or any organization.
Laura, this won't stop until it's stopped. How many more of these political assassinations, political violence incidents do we have to see until it's stopped? We need justice for Charlie Kirk. We need justice for all victims of these incidents. And absolutely, the families need to see that actions are being taken at the national and federal level, task forces or whatever they need to do to put the resources in that stop the perpetuation of these types of acts of violence.
Anyone funding this and funding this type of rhetoric that everyone's Hitler and a dictator and there's never going to be another democracy if this guy wins, all of that has to stop. Jack, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
I'm sorry. One of the main progenitors of fucking Pizzagate is on TV telling everybody to fucking turn the temperature down, but it's only like the temperature on one side again. It's like they're like pretending that political violence in the USA is done by like lefties. It's not. It's like 75% in the last 10 years was by right-wing organizations or people associated with right-wing groups. And mind you, doesn't include violence that was apolitical. There is apolitical. Most violence is apolitical, right? Most violence is personal disputes, family disputes, domestic violence. But this is all like out of whack with what's been going on in the country. Basically, this century, right? This is just all out of whack. Here's the president again. This is fucked up. He's like, my condolences, but also we're building a ballroom. Look, we're building a ballroom. My condolences. What an asshole. Like if you're supposed to like care, you're supposed to like, he's not even doing a good job of pretending he cares about this. It's really weird.
My condolences on the loss of your friend's family. Can I ask you a question? How are you holding up over the last 3.5 days? I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks. They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty. It'll be an absolutely magnificent structure. And I just see all the trucks. We just started, so it'll get done very nicely, and it'll be One of the best anywhere in the world, actually.
Thank you so much.
This guy didn't give a fuck about Charlie Kirk, dude. And that's, I mean, like, whatever. Like, what is the president supposed to say? I suppose. But he went from the radical left must be stopped to my condolences, but also we're building a ballroom. Do you see all these trucks? Look at these trucks. Magnificent. We're going to build a magnificent ballroom. Come on, man. Like, why are you so bad at this? Why are you so absolutely fucking bad at this? Here's somebody who knows that they're going to end up being criticized for jumping to conclusions, but they're just going to fucking jump to conclusions anyway. Because I don't know, it's like there's no money, there's no clicks, there's no profile to be gained from asking yourself, what if we wait?
And like I said, there was a light police presence. I'm sure, I hope there were some undercover people. Charlie has his own a bit of security, but not to deal with, a couple thousand people that were there to see Charlie. They had microphone challenges because there were so many people, they couldn't get all the volume that they wanted. People are having a hard time hearing. But I think when this story is written, I don't think it was a coincidence that the shot rang out when you get a question about transgender mass shootings. That maybe, hopefully I'm wrong. I'll probably get criticized for jumping to conclusions, but I'm just telling you, in the 30 minutes or so, I thought, wow, I don't think that's a coincidence, but we'll see.
It was a coincidence.
Jason, obviously there's a lot of.
The thing is, like, he could have been talking about any sort of hotly contested political issue because that's what he does. That's what he was doing when he was going to these things. So it was coincidence that he was talking about this particular issue. It could have been about school shootings. It could have been about something not related to violence, right? It could have been anything. We've watched so many of these things that, like, mostly during red light, but that it could have been any hotly contested political issue. So you could have pointed sort of your speculation in any kind of direction. Again, these people, like, it's just because there's no money, no clicks, no glory in being like, well, I don't know, let's hold on here, let's slow the fuck down. Up next, at least up to this point in time, because I took these in order, chronological order, except for I took these in chronological order. Of all people, at least at this point, like the very Republican governor of Utah seemed like the only person with their head on straight, who wasn't jumping to conclusions and wasn't spreading a bunch of false information, unproven information, unverified information. Now, mind you, that changed, and you'll see a clip of that later.
Our nation is broken. We've had political assassinations recently in Minnesota. We had an attempted assassination.
See, like, this guy mentioned the assassinations in Minnesota. This guy's not a crazy person.
Governor of Pennsylvania. And we had an attempted assassination on a presidential candidate and former president of the United States, and now current president of the United States. Nothing I say can unite us as a country. Nothing I can say right now can fix what is broken. Nothing I can say can bring back Charlie Kirk. Our hearts are broken. We mourn with his wife, his children, his family, his friends. We mourn as a nation. If anyone in the sound of my voice celebrated even a little bit at the news of this shooting, I would beg you to look in the mirror and to see if you can find a better angel in there somewhere. I don't care what his politics are. I care that he was an American. We desperately need our country. We desperately need leaders in our country. But more than the leaders, we just need every single person in this country to think about where we are and where we want to be. To ask ourselves, is this it? Is this what 250 years has wrought on us?
Yes. Yes. This is 250 years of America. Yes.
I pray that that's not the case.
It is. You're seeing it every day.
Those who hated what Charlie Cook stood for will put down their social media and their pens and pray for his family.
Friend, not everybody's religious. Why would non-religious people pray?
And that all of us will try to find a way to stop hating our fellow Americans.
So this was a pretty, of all the fucking statements by any high profile figure, which is a little bit surprising. You'd think the conservative governor of Utah would be like a fucking right winger, like a hard right. And he was the only Republican I even heard bring up the shootings of the execution or the assassination of the Democratic lawmakers. But unfortunately, this guy, and this other clip I don't have, I just didn't grab it. He said that he had wished essentially that it wasn't, and that it was an illegal immigrant or something like that, but instead that it was one of us, which was like that was his start of descent into fucking madness on this issue, on all of this. Because why would he have felt happier if it was a person who was here like on a work visa that they had overstayed or whatever? Why would that be better? Right? It wouldn't. It's not better. Why would it be better? It's only better because he would only think it's better because it's somebody that he and his political allies had it was part of a group that they had demonized. And that's not better. It's a fucking thing still happened. Nancy Mace did not have a good week, friends. Nancy Mace, crazy as fuck, did not have a good week. Here is her first. This is like right in the aftermath. Nobody knew shit. Nobody knew anything about the alleged shooter. But here's Nancy Mace.
This shit ends. Like, enough is enough. And now I have to deal with real safety concerns. It sounds like the shooter was a tranny or pro-tranny. And just because...
Wait, why does it sound like that?
That I'm worried about getting murdered? Are you fucking kidding me? It's out of control. And
this is all theater.
And I'm going to double down on this. I'm going to be more vigilant than ever. I'm going to be louder than I've ever been until this shit stops. It's got to stop.
This is all theater. She's not worried about getting murdered at this press conference. She's right out there in the open. Mind you, she has every right to be right out there in the open. I'm not fucking saying that like she shouldn't be out there in the open. She's crazy, but she can be out in the open. It's fine. So here's a clip of Nancy Mace from CNN where she's unhappy that people have been mean to her because she like just jumped the gun, jumped to conclusions. And that the thing she was saying seems like it's at this point in time seemed like it was just not true. It was turned out that she was just fucking making shit up because she didn't like trans people. So here's her on CNN having a big old sad about it.
And it's putting our lives at risk. How many times did someone try to kill President Trump last year?
I mean, more than once.
Yeah.
My point is, I think the word "we" should be used more often, not them and us. Like the word "we" would make a big difference.
Well, certainly, but right now, because it's very one-sided right now. The way that I have never called one of my colleagues the kind of names that we've been called. I've never dehumanized my colleagues. In fact, when I have
What?
agreed with a Democrat.
Get the fuck out of here.
Actually, regardless of the press, actually covers me. I'm the 22nd most bipartisan member of Congress. If you're willing to work with me, I'm willing to work with you. That has always been the message. But because I'm outspoken about rape, because I'm outspoken about survivors, I face a different kind of threat. It is all the time. It's imminent. And I fear just walking around trying to be a normal person, trying to be a good, hardworking member of Congress. And I have real, deep-rooted, realistic threats that are coming through every single day, and I fear just walking out in public is dangerous to my life.
Yeah. No one should have that fear. But I always appreciate you coming in and having a conversation with me. Thank you.
Always. Thank you.
John.
Anybody in the public eye has some level of security concern. Like, I'm not really a public I'm not famous. I take measures to ensure my personal security because of some of the things we talk about here. All it takes is one crazy, right? As we found out, as we keep finding out, right? Life is fleeting, and it just takes one fucking crazy person who gets access to you, and you're done. So the thing is, though, people were talking shit on her because she was just absolutely jumping to conclusions. And she's like, I'm trying to work with other people, and I would never disparage other people and other colleagues. But then she had just said that the person that this has to stop, that the trans violence or whatever has to stop. But so it doesn't. It all falls on deaf ears. It's like that's almost like disconnected in a way from the clip we just watched of her in the immediate aftermath. She's like almost acting like that clip doesn't exist. And she's like, oh, they clipped me out of context. And it's like, well, fucking, I didn't need a lot of context for the fucking clip we watched before that. It was your message was pretty fucking clear. Here's, this is out of order here. This happened in Congress this week. But it just goes, it's more of Nancy Mace having a bad fucking week. Check this out.
I think it's very interesting that my colleague from South Carolina is so obsessed with the issue of trans people, using horrible slurs to talk about them, when many people in this body have received gender-affirming care. Filler is gender-affirming care. Boob jobs is gender-affirming care. Botox is gender-affirming care. Lots of my colleagues have received gender-affirming care, and let me be clear, I think everyone should have access to the gender-affirming care that they need, and I think we should respect everybody in this country. With that, I yield back.
Ridiculous. You are absolutely ridiculous.
Lady is now recognized.
Yeah, did you hear her? She's like, she just said in the last clip, I don't ever disparage or talk shit on the people in my colleagues in Congress. It's like, well, what are you doing right now, homegirl? Come on.
Order. The House will be in order. The gentlelady and the gentleman will suspend. The House will be in order.
I don't ever disrespect or talk smack about the people that work with me in Congress. Yes, you do. You do it all the time. That's why you keep getting all this news coverage. So here's Tim Pool, because of course here's Tim Pool. Here he is on Fox News with Jesse Waters. Like, just based on what we knew at this time, this is just completely fabricated, what Tim Pool's saying here. He's just wrong, because of course he is. He's Tim Pool. He's always fucking wrong.
Well, I know much of what you have reported, what everyone's reporting, the statements that were made to The Guardian that he was a leftist. Someone has posted a video claiming to have gone to school with him, and they called him your typical Redditor. And anybody who's familiar with the social platform Reddit knows it is dominated by liberal left ideology.
Wait, no. Okay, so Reddit, everybody uses Reddit, but the caricature of a Redditor is some kind of fucking men's rights activist motherfucker, right? That's the caricature of a Redditor. It's somebody who basically got too old for the chans and went over to Reddit. That's the caricature of a Redditor. Mind you, Reddit is a much more diverse place than that, obviously. And there are great subreddits and stuff about different things, but it's not dominated by the left, like Tim's saying here. That's not how Reddit works.
But what's interesting now is there is this gaslighting campaign among prominent liberals to claim that this guy's actually a right-winger, that he's from a Christian conservative family who loved guns, and in fact, he attacked Charlie for not being conservative enough. And they've tried to...
That was an initial report from law enforcement, which also seems like maybe that wasn't the case, because another report later said that homeboy wasn't talking, right? That he wasn't fucking cooperating with the investigation.
Similar claims pertaining to the man who tried to kill Donald Trump, Crooks, in Pennsylvania. But it is absolutely absurd. I've been dealing with this since the beginning of my career. I have dealt with physical assault attacks from the left, from violent extreme leftists. We called them the Black Bloc back during Occupy Wall Street. This was covered extensively when I was actually championed by the left for documenting Occupy Wall Street.
He's like now rewriting his own history.
I was physically attacked by leftists. Even to this day, the death threats that we receive, the security that I have to have every day is It's tremendous. And I don't see the same thing among my liberal counterparts. They don't require the same degree of security. So it's
yeah, but there's a bit of drama queening going on in his like security detail too.
Gaslighting campaign, in my opinion, because in order to maintain,
I'm not saying that if you can afford it and you're a public figure, you shouldn't have a security detail. You certainly should.
The right is more violent. They do several things. They try to gaslight us in situations like this, that a conservative would shoot Charlie Kirk. He was the greatest tool in the arsenal of conservative values. And they go online, they use these NGOs, these nonprofits, to claim that a run-of-the-mill moderate conservative is the same thing as a white supremacist who wants to overthrow the government. They're so far removed from each other. That's the game they're playing now because they don't.
Not all white supremacists want to overthrow the government.
For the rhetoric. The rhetoric.
He's talking about the Boogaloo Boys.
Nazis or fascists or far right. They say.
So I don't want to get too into the weeds about this, but Charlie Kirk was pushing great replacement stuff. And that's pretty far right opinion, pretty far right thing. The thing that the people figured out was that some of the iconography that was on the bullets. This is independent from some people were really trying to cook by reading like the stamp on the bullet from the manufacturer, which was fucking stupid. Some of the iconography that was put on the bullets by someone other than the manufacturer, they tried to say it was anti-fascist because there were 3 down arrows, but the anti-fascist is 3 down arrows to the left. And what it was a reference to a video game, and it's like a button combination basically to drop a bomb. So it was referencing a video game. There was a reference to an Italian song that's an anti-fascist song, but the song is used as like a joke inside of Groyper communities. So this is all like really kind of complicated, right? This isn't so simple as this guy was Antifa or that this guy was a Republican. The Groypers, assuming this guy was involved with the Groyper stuff, which it seems like he was based on just some of the references. Now, I'm not saying that he was hanging out with Nick Fuentes or that he was, that he was directly influenced by Nick Fuentes, because it's not a big community, but it's not tiny. There's tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of Groypers. And their main goal is to get some of their jokes into the mainstream. They want to mainstream some of their jokes so that people maybe unknowingly are repeating some of their like fascist dog whistles, essentially. So we don't know. It seems likely that this person came across a bunch of Groyper stuff. And some of those things are similar references to what the Groypers are doing. If I had to make a bet, I would bet that he is at least tangentially related to it. Because if you just have one of the jokes, maybe, but it was several and I'm sorry, these things aren't jokes, right? But it's all really complicated. And this is also like, not for nothing, the Groypers are like kind of an esoteric, very strange internet subculture. So it's like, it's not beholden on every human being, every person, even political people, to understand like esoteric right-wing online culture. It just isn't. It doesn't make any fucking sense. I'm in the shit and I don't necessarily completely understand it. So that's, sort of how this goes. And it's fine if people are willing to slow down, admit what they don't know, and maybe listen to disinformation researchers. I'm not saying they should listen to me. I don't have a big platform and like a huge body of work, but they could listen to people maybe like Jared Holt, Zach Patrizio, Will Sommer, et cetera, because those people have like a much more, I guess, reputable body of work around this stuff than I do. So here's Stephen Miller saying that we need to dismantle the left or whatever, because that's what Charlie said the last time they talked or something. Fucking crazy town.
And let me tell you something I'd not share with anybody, but the last message that Charlie Kirk gave to me before he joined his creator in heaven was he said that we have to dismantle and take on the radical left organizations in this country that are fomenting violence. That was the last message that he sent me.
So I don't believe this either, by the way.
Before that assassin stole him from all of us. And we are going to do that under President Trump's leadership. I don't care how. It could be a RICO charge, a conspiracy charge, conspiracy against the United States.
For doing what?
But we are going to do what it takes to dismantle the organizations and the entities that are fomenting riots, that are doxing, that are trying to inspire terrorism, and that are committing acts of wanton violence. It has to stop. And my message is to all of the domestic terrorists in this country spreading this evil hate, you want us to live in fear? We will not live in fear, but you will live in exile. Because the power of law enforcement under President Trump's leadership will be used to find you, will be used to take away your money, take away your power, and if you've broken the law, to take away your freedom, Sean.
So you can't, like, it's not racketeering to, like, report on somebody or some organization. My God. This is all crazy. All absolutely crazy. Here's Megyn Kelly, who was going to say he was indoctrinated at a university. The problem is, as we know, and I think she probably was capable of knowing because she has a fucking staff, he dropped out of a university after one semester. So, or not after, before finishing a semester. Like that happens. A lot of people do that. The university isn't for them or whatever. And he ended up going to a trade school. Like fucking that doesn't matter either. But Megan's going to act like he was like indoctrinated at some left-wing university. But he didn't even finish a fucking semester at a university, so that doesn't make any sense.
This is a leftist narrative about Trump and about Charlie as his supporter. So, I mean, there's just no question this guy was buying the leftist narrative about Charlie and, yes, about Donald Trump.
Wait, what? No, this is all
become more political in recent years. Now, how did that happen? What did he do in recent years? He went to college. Guess what college does?
Dude, he fucking didn't go to college.
Radicalizes young people. I don't know what happened to this particular man, but that is what college does. You know, we had Bill Ackman on this.
I'd like to see some information on this, on like more broadly, like the evidence, like when people commit acts of political violence, are they more likely to be college grads or not be college grads? I don't have the information, but I'd be willing to bet that it probably maps on to society at large, right? Like that, more or less, like, I don't know, 30%, let's say, of people who got graduated from a university. So I would assume that maybe 30%-ish of political violence would occur from people who graduated from a university. I don't know the exact number, and I don't know, but I would assume that it like sort of maps on like proportionally to society.
Talking about what happened to his daughter who went to Harvard and where they turned her into a Marxist, socialist, communist, which he was still trying to unwind. This is a liberal New York billionaire. That's what Harvard does to your kid.
This is a fucking get the fuck out of here. Oh man, if you're a billionaire, you probably think everybody's a fucking communist.
It's just, look, I don't know what happened to this kid at the university. I'm just saying, if we want to talk about circumstantial evidence.
Not much, because he didn't even finish a semester there, lady.
On radicalization, there's zero for this kid being MAGA or a Republican or in any way in favor of Donald Trump. There's plenty of him hating Donald Trump. People are like, oh, you know, he was just a gamer. The fact that he wrote these things on the bullets just show he was nothing but a gamer.
They were literally almost all references to a fucking video game.
Part where, again, he wrote them on bullets with which he shot Charlie Kirk. Fuck these people and their revisionism, their unwillingness to see what's obvious.
So we got somebody in chat letting us know that actually, yeah, my assumption was more or less correct, right? This maps on essentially to the demographics of the United States, and that like there's no real, not even a correlation between college degrees and these kinds of violent acts, which it makes sense, right? Because it's not something that they teach you to do at a university, or necessarily something that a university education would prevent. You know, it doesn't have it. It's like irrelevant to probably the motivation of the vast majority. I'd say all of these people, whether or not they have a college degree. But don't worry, we have more people saying that it's the fault of. By the way, this is a fault of a fucking university in Utah that they're saying, which is fucking amazing. I would assume that a university in Utah, while generally going to probably be a little more liberal than the surrounding state, we're not talking about, this isn't like Berkeley that they went to, or NYU or someplace that's like known for being like more leftist, liberal, critical of capital, etc. But don't worry, we're going to hear more about how it's all the fault of the university that he like did like less than a semester at, I suppose, because like, why not? Why not? I mean, if we're making shit up, let's just fucking make shit up. Let's make up that it was the university's fault. I don't know. Fucking fuck it. Just make it all up.
The anti-Jewish rhetoric going on the college campuses taught by the professors, they need to be defunded. They shouldn't get one government penny. Not one. Not one. And the professors that are showing the hate, the parents can't fund them, the grandparents can't fund them, they need to be fired. We have talked about free speech all day long, but there's one group that's getting all the hate on college campuses. When a liberal shows up to the college campus, they are accepted with open arms. When a conservative does, they got to have security on the campus. Now we have to hire counter snipers now? If a conservative wants to have a debate on a college campus, are you kidding me? It cannot be that way. So we got to hit them where it hurts. The funding has to go away. The professors have to go away. It is okay to have a different belief system, but when you're sowing hate and division and calling for the deaths of conservative, calling them Hitler and Stalin and all that, that can't be tolerated on college campuses anymore, Sean.
Well, what are you going to do about it?
A genius to Charlie.
This is fucking so stupid. This guy was not radicalized on a college campus. I don't know. Well, again, this is just a lot of like, we don't know. Like, we don't know. This morning. This is where the governor of Utah, again, most of this seemed pretty okay, like until the end, where again, he starts fucking speculating this morning about things he doesn't understand and doesn't seem to be endeavoring to understand. This is all just crazy. Why can't people be like, I don't know, it seems like this. And the other thing is like, to the extent that I'm saying it seems like something, I don't have any fucking power. I'm a fucking podcaster. And I'm not the podcaster. I'm not a podcaster in charge of the FBI. I'm a fucking podcaster. Why during after all this, people even say that I'm like unhinged, a leftist, that I talk mad shit. Why after all this was I less, as we would say, crazy, less wild about all this, even though I've been covering Charlie Kirk and this phenomena of Turning Point USA since almost the beginning of it, and I had fucking my own opinions about it. Why was I one of the people being like, we don't know? We're supposed to be the crazy ones, the leftist Twitch streamers, but my fucking God. Anyway, here we go. Here's this morning. It's a little bit long. It's about 9 minutes, but we're going to run the whole thing. This is the governor of Utah.
Spencer Cox. Governor Cox, welcome back to Meet the Press. Our condolences to the Kirk family, to all of you in Utah who I know are grieving right now.
Thank you, Kristen. It is a dark time in our state's history, in our nation's history. Our prayers and hearts go out to Erica, her children, and Charlie's family. Thank you.
Governor, let me start by just asking you to update us on the investigation. What more have investigators learned about the suspect and the motive here?
Yeah, so there will be much more coming out on Tuesday when charges are filed. They are gathering evidence, interviewing known friends, people around the suspect. What we know so far, there are a couple things that we can confirm that have been reported. We can confirm that again, according to family and people that we're interviewing, he does come from a conservative family, but his ideology was very different than his family, and so that's part of it. We do know that the roommate that we had originally talked about, we can confirm that roommate is a boyfriend who is transitioning from male to female. So we know that piece. I will say that person has been very cooperative with authorities, and we have additional evidence, forensic evidence that has been processed. We'll be sharing that when charges are filed on Tuesday. So everything everything that we know confirms that that this is the person. The why behind this, again, we're all drawing lots of conclusions and how someone like this could be radicalized. And I think that those are important questions for us to ask and important questions for us to answer.
Governor, you say that the boyfriend, the roommate, is cooperating with investigators. What specifically have you learned from this individual, and is the suspect cooperating?
So what we have learned specifically is that this person did not have any knowledge, was shocked when they found out about it. When he found out about it, the suspect has not been cooperating so far, and so we're getting all of this information from family members. Again, people around.
See, again, there was reports earlier that seemed to be wrong, where because the suspect's not cooperating, that means he's not talking, right? He is invoking his right to not say shit. Shut the fuck up Friday, no matter what, if the cops are investigating what you're doing. And so the reports earlier of him saying that he was against Charlie Kirk because Charlie Kirk wasn't conservative enough or whatever, where did those come from? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's bullshit. I think that's a lie that got spread around because he's fucking not talking.
And then the forensic information that we have, which is confirming everything and more than what we were able to share in that initial press conference.
Governor, I want to ask you about something you said on Friday. You said, quote, there was a radicalization that happened in a fairly short amount of time. How was the suspect radicalized? How quickly did it happen?
How do you know that?
Well, again, those are pieces of information that we're still gathering, trying to understand. We do know, and again, this has been well publicized, that this was a very normal young man, a very smart young man, 4.0 student, I think a 34 on the ACT, went to my alma mater, Utah State University, but was only there for a very short amount of time. I mean, dropped out after less than one semester, and it seemed to happen kind of after that. After he had moved back to the southern part of Utah, clearly there was a lot of gaming going on. Friends that have confirmed that there was kind of that deep dark internet, the Reddit culture, and these other dark places of the internet where this person was going deep. And you saw that on the casings. I think I didn't have any idea what those inscriptions, many of those inscriptions even meant, but they are, certainly the memification that is happening in our society today.
Governor,
yeah, they're referencing a fucking video game that's popular among the Groypers.
Not
the video. It's not like they're all sitting in a fucking room playing the video game. It's that the video game has messages that they're making fun of. I don't know enough about the game. I don't play fucking video games. I'm just listening to what other people are telling me, people who know more about video games and who honestly know more about Groyper culture than I do.
Some of the messaging that we have heard from you, lawmakers, governors of both parties across the country have frankly praised what we heard from you on Friday, your unifying message. You said you see this as a watershed moment. How can this nation step back from the brink, Governor?
So look, this is you mentioned it in the introduction, but we have seen an escalation in violence that has been happening across the country. We've had periods like this in our past history.
Well, we've seen an escalation in political violence across the country, but violent crime since the 90s has gone down significantly. It popped up a little bit during COVID, especially right when everybody got let out of their houses or whatever, but then it went right back down.
In the late 60s and early 70s, certainly we saw these types of high-profile political assassinations. Another dark time in our history. People keep waiting for somebody to lead us out of this, and I think that's a mistake. I don't think any one person, certainly not a governor, I don't think a president, I don't think anyone can change the trajectory of this. It truly is about every single one of us, and I can't emphasize enough the damage that social media and the internet is doing to all of us. Those dopamine hits, these companies, $1 trillion market caps, the most powerful companies in the history of the world, have figured out how to hack our brains, get us addicted to outrage, which is the same type of dopamine, the same chemical that you get from taking fentanyl.
Okay, so hold on. So if it bleeds, it leads was always the thing in the news. It's just how quickly information and bad information travels now.
get us addicted to outrage and get us to hate each other. I'm seeing it in real time since the tragic death of Charlie Kirk. I'm seeing it in every corner of our society. The conflict entrepreneurs are taking advantage of us, and we are losing our agency, and we have to take that back. We have to turn it off. We have to get back to community, caring about our neighbors, the things that make American great, serving each other, bettering ourselves, exercising, sleeping, all of those things that this takes away from us.
Well, Governor, you referred to social media as a cancer on Friday. That's an incredibly strong word. Do you believe that social media played a direct role in this assassination?
I believe.
So I'm thinking, like, assuming that he ran into like Groyper people, those people aren't really they're a little bit active on Twitter, but that's like Telegram. It's like they're more likely to be on like encrypted services, places where normies aren't. At least, like, to understand the jokes, you kind of have to be in the shit. Like,
social media has played a direct role in every single assassination and assassination attempt that we have seen over the last 5-6 years. There is no question in my mind that cancer probably isn't a strong enough word. What we have done, especially to our kids, it took us a decade to realize how evil these algorithms are, and we're doing everything in Utah, first state in the nation a couple years ago to pass comprehensive reform. Sadly, these most powerful companies on earth are suing us to prevent us from implementing these things.
I want to play you a little bit of what we heard.
What did they cut there?
President Trump this week and get your reaction. Take a look.
The radicals on the right oftentimes are radical because they don't want to see crime. They don't want to see crime.
Worried about the border.
They're saying, we don't want these people coming in. We don't want you burning our shopping centers. We don't want you shooting our people in the middle of the street. The radicals on the left are the problem, and they're vicious, and they're horrible, and they're politically savvy.
What is your reaction to that message from President Trump, Governor?
Well, look, I've talked to President Trump. President Trump is angry, and he has every right to be angry. A lot of Americans are very angry right now, and there clearly was a leftist ideology with this assassin, and so I totally understand that anger. I also wish you would have played the clip where he quoted Charlie Kirk about the importance of nonviolence, because he said that too, and I can tell you that the president has reached out to me. He reached out to me after the press conference and thanked me multiple times for my words. That's probably a surprise to people. He also, the reason I'm doing these morning shows, I don't do much national press anymore. The White House asked us to come on and to talk about this because they're worried about the escalation that's happening out there. But again, I don't know why we feel like we need to take our cues, that we as Americans have to get up in the morning and decide how we're going to react or act based on what the president says or what a governor says or what anyone else says. In my conservative philosophy, and quite frankly, in my faith philosophy, we believe in agency. We believe that we are each individually responsible for ourselves. And the United States of America is a collection of a lot of different people. And again, no president is going to lead us out of this. It's going to be every single one of us.
Governor Spencer Cox, we so deeply appreciate your joining us and your perspective this morning and your updates on the investigation. Thank you very much for being here.
We thank you for watching, and remember.
Okay, so there's a couple things in there. One, and again, first thing that I want to say is whoever this roommate, boyfriend, partner is, I do not want anyone out there finding out who this person is and publishing their name or their address or anything like that, because this person is, they didn't do anything. They didn't do shit. It has nothing to do with them. There are some reports, like from him, that this was like a romantic partner. There are some indications that I've seen, again, just indications, that this person had a room for rent and posted it on Zillow, and that the alleged shooter rented a room on Zillow from them. That does not mean that they did not then end up in a romantic relationship. So that is not out of the realm of possibility. What I am seeing is people saying, well, if he was dating a man at this point, a young man who is intending on transitioning, that he must be a leftist or a liberal, and that this could not be Groyper stuff, because Groyper stuff is deeply homophobic, which it kind of is, but it kind of isn't, because there's like, it's not even like, it's like a joke, but it's not even a joke, right? In that community, that Nick Fuentes himself is into cat boys. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that somebody could be influenced by this stuff from the Groyper community and also be engaged in what people would call a queer relationship. I'm not going to play much of this. We've played this on the stream before, but here is sort of the big example of what I'm talking about. And we're going to play like 30 seconds of this. You can find it on the docket. Here's a shorter video cut out of a much longer video of Nick Fuentes, the head of the Groypers, on a date with a fascist cat boy. And there's no sound from it. Hold on. Let's start this over. Fucking professional streamer and podcaster, Gay Dave.
Wall. I was gonna pick you up at like noon or 1, and then I just kept like watching YouTube videos. I just kept watching. I watched a lot of videos about dinosaurs. People have been giving me shit about. I said I don't believe in dinosaurs, so I was doing some research about that. Watching like some, and then I just got sucked in.
So that's out there. We're not going to run a lot of it. If people want to look it up, they can look it up. It's a very flirty video, and it's totally fine if Nicky Fuentes wants to go on a date with a fascist cat boy, I suppose. So this happened too this week. We're getting out finally of this this stuff, because there were other news items this week, I promise. Here is, you should, if you're not sad that Charlie Kirk was killed, you're a monster. But also, we should do a eugenics on people with mental illness and the homeless.
We don't have to. We feel so compassionate because you see the mental health crisis happening.
Exactly.
But it's not our job. We shouldn't have to live in fear while they figure out what's going on right there.
Right.
Put them in a mental institution, put them in a jail, and you guys figure it out. But people having to duck and dive on the trains and the buses, walking through the street, this is one case, but this is happening all across the country, and it's not a money issue. They have given billions of dollars to mental health and the homeless population. A lot of them don't want to take the programs. A lot of them don't want to get the help that is necessary. You can't give them a choice. Either you take the resources that we're going to give you, and
they've given billions over how many years, and what's the actual size of the U.S.? The size of the U.S. economy is in the fucking trillions. So how many years?
You decide that you're going to be locked up in jail. That's the way it has to be now.
Or involuntary lethal injection or something.
Or involuntarily, do you mean murder? Like if you mean murder, you mean fucking take out the poor, take out the mentally ill, take out the homeless? Is that what this is fucking, yeah, this is all right, dude, fuck yeah. All right, sure. That's a good way to deal with it.
Just kill them.
Yeah, Brian, why did it have to get to this point?
Right. I would say this, we're not voting for the right people. In North Carolina, wake up. You can't keep putting these people in power. They woke up in Los Angeles. They got a stronger DA. They got rid of Chesa Boudin in San Francisco. Hopefully they'll get rid of this terrible guy, Alvin Bragg in New York. And now it's up to the people, the election, which is who's ever up in November, and that Senate seat that belongs to Tom Tillis, who, by the way, yesterday said, I don't want any help from the federal government to bring crime under control in cities like Charlotte. That's your decision. But Michael Whatley, or you could.
But Charlotte isn't even like come on, like nobody thinks of come on. Charlotte's like it's not. I mean, bad things happen all the time, but Charlotte, nobody thinks of. Well, you know where all the crime is? Charlotte.
Governor Cooper gave
just because they just say this about it because it's a fucking it's a city that's like a disproportionately black. That's all. That's what they mean when they say crime-ridden cities. They mean places where a lot of black people live.
Terrible laws. Mike Whatley wouldn't, and he ran the RNC. These are the people in North Carolina, a purple-leaning red state. They got a big choice. So on this element, it is political because politics has to change.
100%.
So that's wild. First of all, like, again, Charlotte, him saying we should euthanize the homeless or what? It's not even euthanasia is like merciful, right? This isn't euthanasia. This is eugenics. He was forced to apologize, which is crazy, considering all the other weird shit we see on Fox all the time, if I'm being honest. But I mean, what he said was like beyond the pale. Like it was just that, like, people in chat were saying that's just straight up fucking Nazi shit.
And it actually happened when we were together on Wednesday, Lawrence. In the morning, we were discussing the murder of Irina Zaruska in Charlotte, North Carolina, and how to stop these kinds of attacks by homeless, mentally ill assailants, including institutionalizing or jailing such people so they cannot attack again. Now, during that discussion, I wrongly said they should get lethal injections.
But you... Oopsie poopsie, who among us hasn't just called for the fucking just killing the poor? Oopsie.
I apologize for that extremely callous remark. I'm obviously aware that not all mentally ill homeless people act as the perpetrator did in North Carolina, and that so many homeless people deserve our empathy and compassion. Lawrence, back to you.
All right, thanks, Brian. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yep.
More Fox.
So he stopped short of saying that people who live with mental illnesses are far more likely to be the victims of violent crime than the perpetrators, and that homeless, the people who are unhoused, are also far more likely to be the victims of violent crime than the perpetrators. So that's really dumb. This one's real quick. This is 13 seconds. They asked Liz Warren if the Dems need to tone down the rhetoric, which is always really stupid. No matter what happens, right? It's like libs and leftists that need to tone down our rhetoric. Always. It's always us. No matter what happens.
Oh, please. Right. Why don't you start with the President of the United States? Right? And every ugly meme he has posted and every ugly word.
Nah, I mean, like, it isn't like if there was a problem with escalated rhetoric from like the Democrats in Congress or whatever, Trump saying bad things isn't actually an excuse or whatever. The problem is the framing, I think. The problem is the framing. That's all. But like, whatever. At least she kind of stood up. So here's our video about how the Dems need to tone down the rhetoric. This is Representative Lori Pohut. I'm butchering her name, I'm sure, but this is her talking about some messages she has received recently.
Hey, so I just wanted to share a voicemail that was left with my office yesterday after I posted my video about the bill I'm introducing next week. Posting this with minimal comment. The only thing I will say is there is swearing in it, so viewer discretion advised.
I won't leave my name or number because I'm in fear of Lori. I'm afraid of her because I think she's evil and she's mentally not fit to be in Congress. If President Trump wants the National Guard deployed because Gretchen Whitmer is a communist and hates America, it's damn well they're going to be out. You tell this little ignorant ass that we'll vote her ugly butt right out and all her fake mails and everything. I'm sick and tired of you people committing hate crimes against us. You Democrats are evil. Go crawl up Satan's anus because you're going to live an eternal life in hell. Why do you hate us? You hate God. You hate America.
So, I mean, if somebody left that message on my fucking voicemail, I would hate them. I don't know about you, friends, but I would be like, I think I hate that person.
I pray that God protects us against you. You are ugly from the inside out, and you're evil. You're full of hate. Why did you leave us alone, you ignorant bitch!
It's like, ma'am, you called me.
Get the fuck out of our country, you traitor! Go to hell! You're not gonna get your legislation passed! We're gonna vote you out! No bitch!
Big fucking Betty Washam vibes from that lady. Anybody who's been around for a while listening to our shows. Big Betty Washam at her worst vibes from that person.
That's about what you've done to us, you stupid fool. And go ahead. Mock me all you want.
Well, ma'am.
I'm only recording this and screaming in it. I know I sound like a lunatic. I'm a Democrat.
I don't care what political party you claim to be registered from. Don't call and leave this kind of message for anyone.
That's what the Democrats sound like. You guys go ahead and do all your crappy shit against us and think we're just going to lay down and take it. Well, we know you're not going to be able to cheat on the votes like you have been since 2020. And Gretchen Whitmer is just a piece of shit. She's lying. She's evil. Every Democrat is going to rot in hell.
Wait, I thought this lady was a Democrat. Is she including herself?
I guarantee you that. And you are a real ignorant girl. That's what you are, a girl. And you guys can talk bad about us, about our president that we love, Trump 2028, baby! And you can start packing your bags, little witch.
Somebody come get me, Ma.
Was that Roseanne? Was that fucking Roseanne? My fucking God. Oh my God. Like, calm the fuck down. Like, and I gave the wrong name for that person because I'm a bad podcaster or live streamer. That's Lori Tennant. I think the more representatives should go on to like social media platforms and play the hateful stuff that they get. Doesn't matter what party they're in. I think people need to know like what elected officials are dealing with on a day-to-day basis. Here we go. This is now don't look away from the Epstein files, folks. Here is a press conference. The Epstein thing is it's a hoax. It's perpetrated by the Dems to tear down Donald Trump.
Address the crime of Irina Zurika, and the president has done a lot to deliver justice for victims of crimes like that horrific stabbing. And the Epstein files are back in the news because a lot of Americans feel that Jeffrey Epstein's victims never got justice. Does the president care about these victims? Do you think he can does he want to deliver more justice for them, and is he willing to meet with them?
The president cares about victims of all crimes, and that's why Republicans in the Trump Department of Justice have done more in terms of transparency when it comes to the Epstein case than any prior administration. And why are the Democrats all of a sudden caring about this? It's because they are desperately trying to concoct a hoax to smear the president of the United States. We have seen this time and time again. Ro Khanna and all of these other Democrats, they could have cared about those victims 4 years ago when Joe Biden was in office. They could have pushed for transparency then. Unfortunately, the Democrats are using victims as political pawns to try to smear and to push a hoax against the president of the United States. And
so there's some things going on. I don't know all of the ins and outs of it, but there was some stuff that was under seal up until like right before the end of the last presidency. But also like Joe Biden didn't run on fucking releasing all these files. He just didn't. Nobody talked about it. Kash Patel and Dan Bongino were sure telling everybody that Trump was going to release all this stuff unredacted. And obviously nobody thinks they're going to release any tapes of people being assaulted. Like nobody expects that. This is amazing. So here we go. This next clip. Did you know that that letter that we saw, according to Benny Johnson here, it was Epstein forged Trump's signature on it, clearly.
Allegedly, the Wall Street Journal has produced the lewd Donald Trump birthday card. Oh, yes. Oh, the Donald Trump birthday card that he wrote to Jeffrey Epstein. And just a reminder that the President Trump birthday card to Jeffrey Epstein included President Trump sitting on a typewriter in the moonlight, weeping into his inkwell and his quill pen, writing a poem. Do we have the poem? Please get me the poem that Donald Trump wrote to Jeffrey Epstein, along with President Trump's own drawing. He drew pictures for Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, got it. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. This is what they released. Many people are saying that this signature doesn't match President Trump's signature.
People's signature changes over time. This was how long ago?
The whole thing seems insane to me. Can you drop me the poem? I want to do a live reading, a dramatic reading of what the poem Donald Trump allegedly wrote. You know Donald Trump, the guy who says they don't know what the F they're doing, right? We have the clip of that. They don't know what the F they're doing. You know that Donald Trump who calls Kim Jong-un fat and Rocket Man? This is allegedly Donald Trump writing the poem. Again, the team will grab it. We'll read it to you. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't sound like President Trump at all. Many are saying that the signature doesn't match, including Caroline Leavitt. You can see some of the examples of President Trump's signatures throughout the year. I mean, throughout the years, obviously, President Trump's signatures.
Well, that's enough of this clip. Why would he forge that? So there's a couple things going on here. One, this is over 20 years ago, over 25 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. This is pre-2000, I think pre-2000. And people's signatures change over time, but also more importantly, people went back and found things that Donald Trump had signed from the time, and his signature was slightly different then, which is not fucking crazy. There's nothing wrong here. Your signature changes over time. It's just what happens. So it appears that it is Donald Trump's signature on it. Did he write the poem, or did he have somebody write the poem for him? Fuck if I know. Fuck if I know. But here's Donald Trump saying that that's not his signature, which is crazy talk.
You signed the Jeffrey Epstein birthday letter.
It's not my signature, and it's not the way I speak. And anybody that's covered me for a long time, no, that's not my language. It's nonsense. And frankly, you're wasting your time. All you do is trying to get off the great success of DC and about 200 other things we've done that are so successful. This is a great success, and we have so many. I don't think any president in their first 8 months has had anywhere near the success that we've had.
Will you meet with the Epstein victims?
Yeah, it's your signature. I don't understand. I know that he can just tell people it's not, but crazy enough, we were talking about this guy a little bit earlier, and he usually only appears in red light, but here's little Nikki Fuentes. Even little Nikki Fuentes knows this is bullshit. Check this out.
Did you see the latest excuse that we're getting from Mike Johnson on the Epstein files? As you know, we covered it last night. There's a major press conference this week outside the Capitol building. All the Epstein accusers are there, and they're trying to pressure Republicans to vote on this discharge petition to force the DOJ to give up the Epstein files. And it's a big spectacle, and Marjorie Greene is there, and Trump is calling it a Democrat hoax and all of it. And we've heard every line from the White House about the Epstein scandal. They've said, it's not real. There are no files. It's a Democrat hoax. They fabricated it. There was no client list. We've heard all these different things.
So I'm actually inclined to believe that Jeffrey Epstein didn't keep a little list. It was criminal people that I do my crimes with. I think the list would be compiled from other sources of information if there were one.
Then today, what are they doing, guys? What are they doing? The Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, who was involved in the cover-up, he's preventing this vote from going to the floor. Mike Johnson speaks to the press and says that the reason that Trump is named repeatedly inside the Epstein files, get this, It's because the entire time Trump was an FBI informant. The reason that Trump had Jeffrey Epstein at Mar-a-Lago and hung out with him and sent him a birthday card, and the reason that Trump is named over and over and over again inside the Epstein files is because, well, he was working against Epstein. He was working with the cops. He was a double agent. He was undercover. He was working with the feds to sting Epstein. Okay? That's from the Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, Mike Johnson. I'm not making that up. That's not from a low-level spokesperson. That's the Speaker of the House of Representatives. And it's not like he misspoke. He just said that to the press.
Yeah, like, yo, dude, this guy has had a bad couple weeks. I don't know if people were here for the post game last week when he got all these weird like super chats or whatever it is. I think he's on Kick, so it's a different thing than a super chat. But he was like very frustrated with his audience, and it seems like he's not having a great time of late. But he has figured out that he has been had, which is amazing. The last person in the world that I would have guessed would figure out that he had been had is fucking Nikki Fuentes. But he is fully aware now that he's been had. So here we go. This is Trump talking about how he's just talking. Here's a fucking take that he has, I suppose, on domestic violence. This is not great.
Not going to happen anymore. So right now we went from one of the most, and some people say the worst, the most violent city. Can you imagine our capital being the
DC doesn't even crack the top 25
most violent city, but it was really bad, into a totally safe zone. It's called a safe zone city. There's no crime. They said crime's down 87%. I said, no. It's more than 87%. Virtually nothing.
Wait, how do you, dude, come on. Nobody fucking believes that there's any measure you can take to reduce crime down to 13% of its previous level.
And much lesser things that take place in the home, they call crime. You know, they'll do anything they can to find something. If a man has a little fight with the wife, they say this was a crime, see? So now I can't claim 100%. But we are a safe city. You can walk to a restaurant. You can walk to the White House if you work there. You can walk to the Capitol. And even the
people walked all over D.C. before you did this.
I can't believe it, but they don't want to admit it, but I can't believe it. We could do the same thing in Chicago, New York, Los Angeles. We did it. We saved Los Angeles.
No, nothing was happening in Los Angeles before you showed up, though.
Saved Los Angeles, Dan. You know that. Los Angeles was a mess. If we didn't send our troops in, Gavin Newsom would have had a real problem.
With what?
The head police officer, the top person, said we could have never done this alone. We sent our troops right in at the beginning and we killed it. And it was nasty, but we killed it immediately.
Killed what?
And I don't know why Chicago isn't calling us saying, please give us help. When you have, over just a short period of time, 50 murders and hundreds of people shot, and then you have a governor that stands up and says how crime is just fine. It's really crazy. But we're bringing back law and order to our country. And I began my remarks.
So that's so weird that they try to act like anything was really happening in LA. There was like nothing happening in LA. Like it was just LA. Crime, like every other place, is down. I don't know what they're like. It wouldn't even be standing. Nobody was even lighting anything on fire in LA. They've been doing some version of trying to like conflate the fires in the hills with like crime, which fire, I mean, there's no evidence that those were set like arson or anything. And so this is all pretty weird. But the meat of that really was that he said that he was saying that domestic violence essentially is just having a little fight with your partner. And that's not what domestic violence is. And somebody's going to ask Levitt about this at a press conference, and her response is going to be fucking strange too.
Yesterday, the president spoke about DC crime and talked about how there was virtually none. And then he expressed frustration about things that take place in the home they call crime. He said, you know, they'll do anything they can to find something. If a man has a little fight with the wife, they say this is crime. See, now I can't claim 100%. Exactly what crimes was the president referring to?
He wasn't referring to crimes. That's exactly the point he was making, Ouija. What the president is saying is that these crimes will be made up and reported as a crime to undermine the great work that the federal task force is doing to reduce crime in Washington, D.C. And I think the president has every reason to believe that, given the efforts of many reporters in this room who actively seek to undermine the president and what he's doing in our nation's capital. We all know that deep inside you all agree with this because you all live here, and I'm sure you are very grateful for the administration's efforts to make the city, which we all reside in, much safer for ourselves and our families. Michael.
Even if you disagree with us, you agree with us, and you all know that you agree with us. Everyone agrees with us because that's what everybody does. They just agree with us. It was pretty obvious that he was talking about domestic violence and saying that it's like just a little fight, like saying that that's not a crime or whatever, which is fucking crazy. Absolutely fucking crazy. So here is here's another clip. We're moving on now to another thing. Here is Border Czar Tom Holman on Morning Joe gets a little upset with Mika Brzezinski for saying that people have been disappeared. Like, this is very unfair. How dare you use this language around the Gestapo?
Trying to get their paperwork straight, and they have kids who have served in the U.S. military, and they're paying taxes, and they have a license. Is it fair to say that that person is not a threat to society and not a criminal?
Do they have a criminal history? Have you seen the intelligence? Do you have I'm
just asking, do you consider someone who is trying to get their papers now, struggling, and has kids who serve in the military, has a license and pay taxes, is that in your mind a criminal? Is that someone you want your ICE agents to take off the street?
I just explained the real data that I see every day, that a mass 70% are criminals, public safety threats. And the rest are national security threats. People with final orders. I don't know who this case is. Do they have a final order? Have you seen the background investigation or the investigation that was built upon by the ICE agent? What's involved in that case? Things that you may not know. So unless I know the specifics of that case and I have the file in front of me, I can't make that determination if they're a threat.
I would like to see that data that you're talking about, the 70%, the criminal history. I'd love some transparency as to why a lot of these people have been disappeared. You say you have data. We would love to see it. The American people should see this data.
Well, here's the rhetoric again, right? You just meant disappeared. That is a ridiculous thing to say.
Why?
Because ICE is doing the same thing we've done for decades. But because of the last 4 years, ICE wasn't allowed to enforce the law. ICE was told to sit back, and you can't arrest an illegal alien for simply being here legally. You got to wait till they commit a serious crime and get convicted of that crime. That's just
wait. Now he's talking out of both sides of his mouth, right? He's saying that. He was first saying that these 70% of these people had committed serious crimes, and then 30% of them were at national security risk, whatever that means. Now he's saying something else.
His instructions were, and that's why you saw there's so much crime in this country coming from the illegal alien population, because there's no law enforcement. But we're doing the same thing right now that we did when I started back in 1984. ICE agents are enforcing the laws enacted by Congress. They're appropriated funding to enforce these laws. If you don't like what ICE is doing, then go protest Congress. However, to say we disappeared people, no. We're arresting people that are in the country illegally and are public safety threat. We know exactly who we're going to arrest when we go look for them. We have a case file in front of us. We have all those facts. This is not disappearing people. This is a planned, targeted enforcement operation that we're doing. And comments like you just made is one of the reasons why these men and women are under threat every day. Not just the men and women in ICE, but their spouses and their children. They're not disappearing people. They're enforcing the law. And the data proves that 70% of these people are criminals.
Could we see that data?
Absolutely. I have no problem sharing any data from it. I read it every morning.
Well, can you share it with the rest of America?
No, the answer there is no. He is expecting you to trust him. And imagine if of all fucking people, of all fucking platforms, you get angry at a tough question from the Morning Joe show. So here we go. Here's the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, saying that you need to yield and let the Gestapo come to your town. That's like, which is again, fucking crazy. Like yield. You should allow all this. You shouldn't question it.
We need to confirm to the American people that they do not need to fear for their lives when they drive to the grocery store or they pick up their son or daughter from school. This is common sense, and I cannot for the life of me understand how the Democrats think this is some sort of winning political message. Yield, man. Let the troops come into your city and show how crime can be reduced. It's a morale boost for the country, and it's safe and right for everybody involved. So if they want to go down that road, they're going to go down that road. But we're going to keep talking about common sense, and we're going to keep delivering. Thank you.
That's fucking wild. Like the people are not in favor of this. It was like a party line issue at the beginning, and then people saw videos, and like not a lot of Republicans, but some Republicans were like, I don't like this shit. But because of what happened recently, I think, unfortunately, because of the events of this week, we're going to see more of what we're going to look at here, which is this is in Chicagoland, and there were just a couple people protesting, and if you'll see in the video here that they were fired upon, not with like a what they call less than lethal munitions. Check this out.
Cameras up!
That sign looked really threatening. Fuck, dude. Yeah, people see that and they don't like it. Could you imagine that? You see that and you don't like it. This one's great. Here's the president talking about how many people died from drugs last year. He's going to be a little off just based on the amount of people in the country.
The president of Venezuela called the strike on the boat illegal. Are you concerned that Maduro might escalate something?
No, what's illegal are the drugs that were on the boat and the drugs that are being sent into our country, and the fact that 300 million people died last year from drugs. That's what's illegal.
I mean, if you were to give him the benefit of the doubt, which there's no good reason to, maybe worldwide, 300 million people died from the results of drugs and drug abuse. But I think he wasn't talking about worldwide. I think he was talking about the U.S. And I think he fucking said 300 million when there's only like 350 million people here, like on the high estimate side, right? And now we got a couple more before we go into red light. I actually don't have anything planned for red light, but we'll figure it out. Here's the Secretary of the Interior on CNBC talking about what happens with wind and solar energy.
And when you take a look at the intermittent sources, the unreliable and the expensive sources like solar and wind, you don't know when the wind's going to blow. We do know when the sun's going to shine, and it's not 24 hours a day. And so building out transmission, say, from a solar field to a customer, there's only electrons running on that at night. I mean, you're doubling the cost, building all this wind infrastructure, and then when the wind's not blowing, you're not transmitting any of that. So in offshore, particularly challenging. It can cost up to 3 times as much as onshore wind, and then we get into the issues with marine fisheries, with marine mammals like whales, radar interference. I mean, there's a whole host of things that now are literally not just to upset citizens who live along the coast, but actual lawsuits against how these projects were permitted under the Biden administration.
So that's wild. Has this man never heard of a fucking battery? Battery technology is getting better. It's getting better. And this is not like they just get rid of all other forms of electricity generation when they put up wind farms and stuff. This is mostly just because Trump's mad that there's a wind farm near one of his fucking golf courses in fucking Ireland, right? That's like what all this is about. Or he was, remember windmill cancer and shit before too? Man, this is all fucking stupid. So this is Graham Plattner. He's running for U.S. Senate in Maine, and he seems like he's probably going to do pretty good if this is his messaging.
There is this element right now where, I mean, I actually think this is pretty indicative of the problem we find ourselves in, which is we all have to sit here and have this conversation about like, oh, is it okay to not play by the rules? I mean, the answer is obviously no, it's not okay. And also the answer is if they're not playing by the rules, we need to be figuring out ways to build and utilize power that aren't merely beholden to the rule book.
Yeah, that's fucking good messaging. That's good messaging. And I think this guy might actually win. Depends. You never know. You never know what's going to happen between now and any given election, right? So here's more Scientology adjacent bullshit from RFK Jr. He's been running this line that the CCHR, Citizens Commission of Human Rights, has been running for a very long time about pharmaceuticals and violence, about specifically mental health treatment and violence.
I'll answer the question, the firearms question. We're doing research. You know, the firearms question is a complex question, and it's not an easy question. The violence is what we're concerned with. This sudden onset of violence that began.
Man, the audio is really bad. This is what happens when you won't hire union people to set your shit up.
In the 1990s, where people would do something that has never been happened in history, which is somebody walks into a school or a church or a theater and starts shooting strangers. We had lots of guns when we were kids. We had comparably the same number of guns. Nobody was doing that. We had gun clubs at my school. Kids brought guns to school and were encouraged to do so. And nobody was walking into schools and shooting people. So, and this is not happening in other countries. Switzerland has a comparable number of guns as we do.
Ooh, Switzerland is a bad example because a lot of times your guns are like locked up in an armory.
And the last mass shooting they had was 23 years ago. We're having mass shootings every 23 hours. Oh, there are many, many things that happened in the 1990s that could explain these. One is the dependence on psychiatric drugs, which is in our country is unlike any other country in the world. It could be there could be connections with video games, with social media.
No.
There are a number of things, and we are looking at that at NIH. So we are doing studies now. We're initiating studies to look at the correlation and the connection, potential connection between over-medicating our kids and this violence, and these other possible co-founders as well.
So this is an easy line for them to run because we can't look this stuff up, right? Like we cannot find out, like if someone was a mass shooter or whatever, we cannot determine whether or not they were under psychiatric care, right? Because we have HIPAA laws around that. Criminals still have the right to medical privacy. So they can make all the claims in the world they want about whether or not somebody was on psychiatric medication, and we're never going to fucking find out. Same thing as like when anti-vaxxers make claims about their own health or the health of their family. We can't find out if that's true or not because this stuff is all private, as well it should be. But it leaves room for people to fucking make stories up and shit. And that's sort of what I think's happening here. Also, the CCHR, or the Scientology Front Group, has been running this line since Columbine. So, that's not the only place it comes from, but it doesn't not come from there. Shout out to Right Wing Watch. Here's our next clip. This is Kevin Sorbo's son.
Who say they wish they didn't ever get the
Kevin
right to vote.
Sorbo's son seems
I've ever talked to him.
lovely.
I know more young women today who say they wish they didn't ever get the right to vote than I've ever talked to in my life, right? They go back and they go, well, if I never had this, then everything throughout the history with abortion and feminism and all of these things wouldn't have taken place. And so I would much rather give up my one right to vote if it meant 10,000 liberal women wouldn't be allowed to vote so that we could return our country to a better place. Because what we have to realize is women control.
I don't think that he knows people that are telling him this.
They controlled the vote of their husbands. And so that true dynamic was one vote for the entire household that was pretty much dictated by the wife, right? So the husband, who was tasked with taking care of and being responsible for his entire family, used the singular vote he had for his household to make sure that they were protected, to make sure that they were provided for. And what we did was we tricked thousands and thousands and thousands of people into thinking that that was oppression. And we're reaping what we sow. I mean, you can look at everything that's going on, not even just in America, but in the West today. And we could see the decline, the moral degradation, and the societal downfall that is taking place. And we can go, this is bad objectively.
Wow. So Braden, are you saying women shouldn't have the right to vote?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Have you publicly declared that before?
Yeah, numerous times. My stance is a voting system based on Christian morals, which relates to married couples having one joint vote. And so it's not, oh, women shouldn't vote. It's that women should vote with their husbands and husbands with their wives. It is this idea that we should be working together, because what happened is when we pit the genders against each other, the battle of the sexes, we split everything apart. We took the children out of the home and put them in the government school systems. We put the wife against her husband and the husband against his wife. And that is what led to the downfall of America.
And so you're saying that one vote per household, but what about single women and single men? Do they get their own vote?
Nuns,
what the fuck?
And priests and celibate, religious folk have a little bit of a different designation.
Oh, if you're celibate because of your religiosity, well, then you get to vote. But if you're just not married, sorry, Charlie or Carol, you don't get to vote.
When it comes to Americans, we want people to be invested in the future of the country. And so the only way we're going to do that is if they have a stake in it. And so even better would be married and owns land, or at least rents a piece of property. Because if you are...
What does rents a piece of property mean? I rent a piece of property.
We're more likely to vote selflessly than selfishly.
What the fuck? So rents a piece of property. He just means rural, right? He just means rural. That's what he's talking about. He means that you, the suburbs and exurbs and rural areas, right? Because if you rent an apartment, he would say that's not a piece of property. Although the person who owns your apartment complex would certainly qualify as a person who owns property, right? Because they own, maybe they get to vote for you. Fuck it. So we got one more. This is Joel Webbin. We call him Great Value Matt Walsh around here because that's kind of what he is. And he wants parents to have what we're calling the talk with the children. Now, we're not talking about like the sex talk, which you should have with your kids as early as humanly possible. And he's not talking about how black folks have to feel like they have to have a talk with their children about how to not get fucking murdered by the police. He's got the car going the other way on that one. So let's check this out.
If you're a Christian white parent who loves the Lord and loves your children, that you need to have the talk. The talk that we're referencing is the talk that takes your children according to their maturity at the proper time, the appropriate time, and says there are certain parts of town that you cannot go, and there are certain people that you cannot be around.
Yep.
Right. If there's someone who is black in our church, and they've been in our church and we know them and they love the Lord Jesus Christ, great. We're not talking about that person, right. But we're talking about when you go into a crowd of people. If you go into a crowd of strangers and they're white strangers, there's some danger. If they're black strangers, there is 30 times more danger. Them's the facts.
What?
And it is actually a failure of your parental duty, white parents. Please hear me. If you teach your children growing up, if you lie to them and say all people and all races of people in our country are the same, they are not. you are actually depriving your child of factual, truthful information that could save their life.
So real quick, groups of people like that are gathered at like a street party or whatever, there generally tends to be a pretty low instance of violence, no matter what. If it's a street party or a fair or whatever, or like Fridays here in Oakland, everybody gathers at Lake Merritt. Nothing bad happens there. I haven't even seen anybody fucking arguing at that shit. And it's a lot of black folks because I live in Oakland. There's a lot of black folks in Oakland. I fucking love it. It's fucking totally safe. And Oakland, not for nothing. I mean, it's got more crime than a lot of other cities, more violent crime. But like, if there's a gathering of people for like, I don't know, a party or something, there's like no reason to expect it to be violent, no matter what the group is, right? If you get enough people together, there's going to be fights and shit. If there's alcohol, sure, but like, there's no reason to think at all that you're going to be in danger just because there's a lot of people around. Not for nothing, a lot of people means a lot of witnesses. Like if something real bad happens, right? And so this is insanity. It's insanity. And if people are teaching their kids this is bad. If you go into a group of people and they're different than you, I don't know, do like you do any other time. Fucking just be fucking cool to people. Say excuse me if you bump into somebody, or if the crowd's really, really tightly packed, maybe don't try to get through the crowd, because it's, you're not going to get a fight or anything, but it's a huge pain in the ass. This is insanity. And the fact that he's got like an audience of people who have kids and are going to tell their kids this, they're going to raise a fucking generation of fucking racist ass kids. Now, some of them are going to get older, meet some black people outside of their church. They're going to leave their religion. Some of them, I think a lot of them actually are going to be like, well, that was fucking bullshit. But if 10% of them take that with them into adulthood, that's going to make the world and our country and their communities a less safe place. They are going to be the ones that are making other people unsafe, not the crowd of people at the fucking lake or whatever that happen to be black. Fuck that bullshit. That is a huge fucking thing that you should not be teaching your children ever. It's fucking gross. Absolutely gross. And that's one of some of those parents that go, oh, my kids don't talk to me anymore. My kids don't talk to me anymore. Well, this is the reason, right? That your kids are going to grow up, and maybe even while they're still in fucking high school, don't want to talk to you. They want to get away from you, right? Because you're teaching them horrible racist shit about fucking people that you've never met. And if just because there's a crowd of them, now you're in danger. Fuck that. This person's horrible. But anyway, this is the end of the podcast part of the show. We're going to come back for red light in a few minutes. Actually, don't have anything planned for red light, but that usually doesn't cause us any problems. We usually have plenty of stuff to talk about, plenty of stuff to go over. If you're listening on the podcast, obviously consider supporting us at patreon.com/echoplex or at eplex.store. You can sign up at the $5 a month level and you get this sent to you before it comes out, and you get red light, which you don't get on the podcast. You also get Used to Be a Spy before it comes out, and you get the video of that. We recorded an episode of that yesterday. And you get a down ballot before it comes out. And in addition to down ballot, you get audio and video of the public comment section of down ballot. So that's it. Everybody who's watching live, well, almost everybody who's watching live, I suppose, stick around. I'm going to change the color of the lights in this room, and I'm going to change the contents of my beverage, and we're going to come back with post game with red light. Thanks everybody for hanging out for the podcast part of the show. See you in a few minutes. This is Boomers by Periscope, as always.